Too bad, is it? I think it's all right. As I move this out. Well, today I have a little bit of an object lesson. There's a few things in a crate here. And we'll just see if we can figure out what the goal is here. So the first thing I got is this spa soap. It says 2 times ultra moisturizing cream soap, aloe and chamomile refill. 2 times. That's why they have a ring here. There was 2 of them. Right? That's how marketing is. Okay. Next one we have is SC Johnson, 13% more than 23-ounce bottle Windex. Unbeatable streak-free shine, original. Okay, then we got our friend Crest. Pro Health Advanced 24-hour antibacterial protection, whitening and intensive clean. Cavities, plaque, tartar, sensitivity, gums, whitens, enamel, freshens breath. Woo! Loctite. How many remember super glue? How many remember when you used to stick your fingers together with super glue, they were stuck? Now you can stick them together and rub them around and take them apart, right? Not with all super glues. Some are better than others, but this is Loctite super glue. Now triple resistance, temperature, water, and shock. Brush on, built-in brush, multi-surface. Are we catching on so far? Duct tape, maximum strength. That's all it says. I thought there'd be more on there. Premium wood filler, 3-in-1 filler and sealer. Chameleon technology, tabletop finish, water-based formula. Ultimate polyurethane, oil-based, superior scratch resistance, maximum durability, fast dry time. Goodness. Natural glow, firming daily moisturizer, firm to medium toned skin. Gradually creates flawless, natural looking color. Metallic finish. Sleek, luminous finish for timeless luxury. Provides an attractive hammered metal finish. Platinum Plus, paint and primer stain shield technology, unconditional satisfaction. No prep, no prime formula, exceptional stain resistance, extreme hide and stain blocking, provides mildew resistant coating. And even the sponge that comes with this one says professional on the top corner, professional painting products. Professional sponges. How many know what this is? It's the real thing, right? The real thing? That's Coke, thank you. I thought someone would catch that. This isn't the real thing. This was the choice of the new generation. Or next generation. I think it actually might have been next generation. Yep. But the real thing was Coca-Cola. I didn't have that at home. I had to use the real thing for my example. How many have one of these? This is the Lennox. Didn't work like I wanted it to here. This is the bad one. Ethan knows. This is the one that's got all the little tiny tips that you flip around like this. I like the flip tip ones, but not these little tiny ones. They got to be the big 2-inch ones. These are, who wants to sit here and futz around with this little tiny thing like that? But I wish I had the packaging, because the packaging said, oh my goodness, it's got a Phillips, it's got regular, it's got a square bit, it's got, you know, nut driver, it's got them all. And then we have Seafoam. Auto Marine Fleet, marine treatment, EPA registered for gas and diesel engines to help clean injectors, clean carbs, stabilize fuels, control moisture, quiet your noise, clean deposits, add lubricity to fuel, lubrication. Lube upper cylinders, de-ice, and anti-gel. And the whole point of this is that this doesn't really say anything fancy like all these other ones do. Well, the Pepsi can, I guess, doesn't say anything fancy, but right? All these other things are maximum strength, 13% more, lustrous finish. I guess this one says it lubricates, but it just tells what it's doing, right? So the point of what I'm trying to say today is we should all be like Seafoam, right? Is this the kind of Christian that we want to be? Maximum strength, right? Chameleon technology. Let's just blend in with our environment, right? What is my neighbor doing? I want to do the same thing. And you're doing the same thing as your neighbor, and then he comes over and you say, hey, you should be a Christian. And he says, why? You're just like me. I'm fine. And you're copying what I'm doing, right? Or all these other fancy words, ultimate, superior, premium, fast drying, guaranteed to live forever, whatever it said on here, some kind of flawless, natural looking color. You know, as Christians, we get so caught up in all the things that are around us, like Brother Jeff was saying, that our eyes are not on the prize. And we start going after those subtractors when we really need to have our eye on the things that are pure, the things that are natural, things that are holy. In the book of Acts, chapter 24. There's a ton that I could read here, but I'm going to just try to give a little bit of backstory. So Paul appears before Felix 5 days after Ananias, the high priest, arrived. This is 24:1. Silas, if you want to go there. But I'm using New Living Translation so we can understand it a little bit easier today. 5 days after Ananias, the high priest, arrived with some of the Jewish elders and the lawyer Tertullus to present their case against Paul to the governor. When Paul was called in, Tertullus presented the charges against Paul in the following address to the governor. You have provided a long period of peace for us Jews, and with foresight have enacted reforms for us. For all of this, Your Excellency, we are very grateful to you. But I don't want to bore you, so please give your attention for only a moment. We have found this man to be a troublemaker who is constantly stirring up riots among the Jews all over the world. He is a ringleader of the cult known as the Nazarenes. Furthermore, he was trying to desecrate the temple when we arrested him. You can find out the truth of our accusations by examining him yourself. Then the other Jews chimed in, declaring that everything Tertullus said was true. The governor then mentioned for Paul to speak. Paul said, I know, sir, that you have been a judge for Jewish affairs for many years, so I gladly present my defense before you. You can quickly discover that I arrived in Jerusalem no more than 12 days ago to worship at the temple. My accusers never fought me, arguing with anyone in the temple, nor stirring up a riot in any synagogue or on the streets of the city. These men cannot prove the things they accuse me of doing. But I admit that I follow the way which they call a cult. I worship the God of our ancestors, and I firmly believe the Jewish law and everything written in the prophets. I have the same hope in God that these men have, that he will raise both the righteous and the unrighteous. Because of this, I always try to maintain a clear conscience before God and all people. I'm going to move over to chapter 26, verse 1. Then Agrippa said to Paul, "You may speak in your defense." So Paul, gesturing with his hand, started his defense. "I am fortunate, King Agrippa, that you are the one hearing my defense today, because these accusations made by the Jewish leaders, for I know that you are an expert on Jewish customs and controversies. Now, please listen to me patiently." So what is he saying there? Oh, I am so glad that you are saying this, because you know all these Jewish customs and everything. You know that I'm correct. Then he says, as the Jewish leaders are well aware, I was given a thorough Jewish training from my earliest childhood among all my people and in Jerusalem. If they would admit it, they would know that I have been a member of the Pharisees, the strictest sect of our religion. Now I am on trial because my hope in the fulfillment of God's promise made to our ancestors. So what's Paul doing right there? I am 2 times greater than you. Maximum strength, durability, ultimate, superior. The things that he's doing and saying in here, when he's like, I was given a thorough Jewish training from my earliest childhood, and going on, and if they would admit it, they would know that I was a member of the Pharisees, the strictest sect of the religion, and now they put me on trial, right? In fact, verse 7, in fact, that is why the 12 tribes of Israel zealously worship God night and day, and they share the same hope that I have. Yet, Your Majesty, they accuse me of having this hope. Why does it seem incredible to any of you that God can raise the dead? I used to believe that I ought to... Sorry, notification on your phone pops up. I used to believe that I ought to do everything I could to oppose the very name of Jesus of Nazareth. Indeed, I did just that in Jerusalem. Authorized by the leading priests, I caused many believers there to be sent to prison, and I cast my vote against them when they were condemned to death. Many times I had them punished in the synagogues to get them to curse Jesus. I was so violently opposed to them that I even chased them down in foreign cities. One day, I was on such a mission to Damascus, armed with the authority and the commission of the leading priest. By noon, Your Majesty, as I was on the road, a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, shone down on me and my companions. We all fell down, and I heard a voice saying to me in Aramaic, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? It is useless for you to fight against my will. Who are you, Lord? I asked. And the Lord replied, I am Jesus, the one you are persecuting. Now get to your feet, for I have appeared to you to appoint you as my servant and witness. Tell people that you have seen me, and tell them what I will show you in the future. And I will rescue you from both your own people and the Gentiles. Yes, I am sending you to the Gentiles to open their eyes so that you may turn from darkness to light and from the power of Satan to God. Then they will receive forgiveness for their sins and will be given a place among God's people who are set apart by faith in me. So what does all that mean? Who is Saul or Paul? Right? Paul was Saul. Got his name changed. He wasn't, by our definition, a Christian at first, right? So is some of us. I'd like to say, yeah, we're all Christian, but do we act like it? In these words, Jesus talks about it's useless to try to do the things of this world. Turn around and start doing the things that he's saying in here, and you will find favor in him and favor in those around you, in people, in the Gentiles. I shouldn't say it that way, because that makes it sound like if you do the right thing and you're a Christian, that everyone in the world's going to love you. But that's not what I'm trying to say. So the way I said that, compared to the way he said it way better. But open your eyes so that you may turn from darkness and away from the power of Satan to God, and they will receive forgiveness for their sins and be given a place among God's people. So out of all this kind of stuff, and you as a Christian, who are you trying to be? Right? Who's the greatest football player ever? Who's the greatest baseball player ever? Who's the greatest basketball player ever? Michael Jordan, right? You said LeBron, didn't you? That's always on Facebook. Oh, Michael Jordan, LeBron, and all these different guys. They always try to compare who's the greatest. Well, who's the greatest? You. You. Nobody does you better than you. Right? But who do we want to be? Well, thanks. You guys gave me a good Sunday school answer. I was going to say, when you say, who do you want to be? They're all like, oh, we want to be like Jesus. It's like,
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. But when you say, who do you want to be? And everyone's like, well, I kind of want to be like, it's never the person in the mirror that they're looking at. They're always saying, I want to be like something else. You know? See, and then I accidentally point up in that scenario. Yes, we all want to be like Jesus. Right? But our eyes are always on subtractors. We're always looking at things. We always want a bigger house or a better car or something that's nicer. But in the same time, we're not always looking back at ourselves and saying, what's the best me that I can be? And if we were saying what's the best me, we would spend time to be reading our Bible and spend time to pray and spend time doing the things that matter more than we would about anything else. Building our dream house, making maple syrup. No offense, Bruce makes maple syrup. Doing things that can distract us. Now, you can still make maple syrup and love the Lord. And you can be the best at it. But to be the best you, every single one of us has a unique something about us. How many of you know that Brother Keith came up here and sprayed the side of the church and all the fascia and everything, and the soffit and fascia, and got all that clean? And when you go outside, you should look, because if you remember, it was all covered in mold and green stuff. Whatever it was bad. And so much so that we had a quote from Amish or Mennonites or something like that. We had a quote from somebody to come and spray it and clean it, and it was multiple thousands of dollars to clean the church. I mean, how many of you are willing to climb up in the attic and go through, I hate attics, and go through areas like that? Or how many of you are willing to get up out of your seat every Sunday and go back in a room full of all of those kids? Right? You know, no one can do it like you. And sometimes we just have to find out what is that you that fits. You know, we have a lot of hidden talents that we hide. You know, I'm going to pick on Sister Nancy. Sister Nancy writes really great on her cards and the things that she says. That's a really good talent to do that. Sister Crystal can do all kinds of little artistic things, and she every once in a while does some. She draws, or she does artistic writing or different stuff like that. She's got that kind of skill, but she doesn't always do it. She's more worried about being a mom, right? And Josiah? Yeah. Josiah's Josiah, right? He's got a skill. His mom and dad probably know all of his skills. I don't, because he hides them from me, right? Aaron's probably got 1,000 or 2,000 skills too. Right? We all have things that we can do, and when you start to do those things together, it's unstoppable. You know, we were working on a project together at our house to just clean and get some things done. And I always say, hey, you know, if we could all just put in a little bit of time to, you know, and then there's always the grumbles. I gotta work today, and the other one says, I gotta play my video games, and I gotta do my homework, and everyone's got their own grumbles, and they're all tired. But the time when we actually start doing it and we're all working together, all of a sudden we're done with a project, and we're like, oh wow, look at that. Look how much nicer that is. And we're super happy because together we accomplished something. But there's the same thing too. If you don't ever break out of your shell and do something, how are the people around you going to know that you're any different? You know? So I encourage you today, find your Christianity. Who are you? What did the Lord put inside of you as a great talent or a skill? You know, I could have very well went through the talent story about the 1 talent and the 10 talents and the 5 talents, I believe is 3, 1, 5, 1, 5, 10, 1, 5, 10 talent story. You know, how many talents do you have? Some of us might feel like we only have 1. But once you find what that 1 is, you'll realize, oh, maybe I got more than 1 talent. And maybe the Lord is just waiting for you to use that 1 talent before he gives you more talents. You know, when I first learned how to play a musical instrument, the first one I played was guitar, and I was terrible at it. I was at my dad's house. This was after parents had separated. I was at my dad's house, and he had an electric guitar, and I thought, whoa, that is so cool. I want to try. He had no idea how to play. I thought he knew how to play. And I picked up the guitar, and I was kind of plunking away at it, and he said, well, if you do this, and he showed me some little things. So right away, I assumed he definitely knew how to play because he showed me something. So I started playing on it, and after about 2 minutes, boy, of all things, Caleb, is your guitar on? It's a bass guitar, so it's different. Well. I can't think of where the note goes. Ode to Joy. First song I ever learned. So I learned that song on electric guitar, and then I gave up. And you say, why'd you give up? Wow, you learned how to play something. It was the most terrible sounding thing ever to me, because I'm like, I don't want to play Ode to Joy. I wanted to be a rock and roll star, you know? So I gave up as a kid. Never thought of it for years. And then later on, somehow I got an acoustic guitar from somebody, and a friend of mine said, hey, have you ever thought about playing chords? I'm like, what do you mean? What's a chord? He's like, oh, well, you put your hand on there and you just hold it, and then you strum. And in my mind, I didn't even know they did that, you know? And I was like, what do you mean, a chord? So then that chord became 2 chords and 3 chords. He says, you know what? If you got 3 chords, you can play a song. And I'm like, really? So he started showing me some songs, and I'm like, whoa, I can like play some songs here. And at that time I was interested, because I'm like, okay, well, what chords do I need to know so I can play this song? And he's like, well, let me figure that out, you know? So he started showing me a little bit. Then when I got a little older, I met Crystal's family, And Avery and Hank, they played guitar all the time, and Josh. And together we thought, you know what, we're gonna do something with this. We're gonna have a band. And at the time, they already played guitar and I was terrible. So what's the next alternative? Drums, right? I played some drums in school, and all you do is hit things. So it's like you just got to hit them a little bit. So we got a drum set, and what we do, we set it up in our parents' basement. And it was loud and probably terrible. And Josh, I think, played bass. And Avery and Hank played guitar. And we tried to start our own little band. And to be honest, we were terrible. Very, very terrible. I can't even believe that Frank and Mary put up with us. But the point of all that is, it started to open my eyes to music a little bit and started to say, you know what, I can do something. I just have to try, you know. And now, years later, I can play the bass okay. I can play drums pretty good. I can play guitar pretty good. I can play the piano a little bit. Enough that I got my grandma's attention, and she brought me to a garage sale one day and said, hey, what do you think of this violin? And I'm like, well, it looks really nice. She goes, I want to buy it for you. I'm like, Grandma, I don't play violin. She goes, you're smart. You'll figure it out. So that's how I started violin. And now what? Yeah, and then she wants me to play for her funeral. So I don't know how to play violin that good. It might be a drum solo or something instead. But the point is just trying to be you. And we've grown up, a lot of us have grown up in that culture of, you know, when you come to church, you better have your fancy shoes on, shirt, tie, the whole works. And that's good. It's really good that you put a higher standard on God. But at the same time, if it's so much so that it's going to prevent you from having a relationship with God, then don't do it. Do what you need to do to get closer to God. You know, if someone else is telling you that you have to do it this way, but it's not your way, how long is it going to be before you stop doing it? You know, each of us has to figure out our way and our relationship so that by the time we get through it and we get to the spot where the hill starts to go like this, you know, for youth, it's kind of like that age 18 or so. And the decision has to be made, well, am I going to go to church? Or am I, because I can drive now. I could just very well stay home. Or maybe I could find something better to do. Like go fishing. I'm not picking on you, Ethan. You're 18 and you like to go fishing. But really, when things start to get tough, if you don't have your own relationship, it's pretty easy to say, you know what, I'd much rather go fishing. Or, you know what, it's Thursday night and I know there's people at church, but, you know, I like to spend time cooking out or doing things like that. You know, you got to make a priority for God in your life. And I'm not saying you have to be at every Sunday service or every Thursday service or every whatever. But it's good to be here. And it's good to use your talent in a way that's going to bless the church. And ultimately, it'll bless you. Because you'll start to feel better about yourself knowing, hey, this is who I am. I'm not somebody who's just up with a suit and tie on and pretending, you know. And I think there was plenty of times in my Christianity where I was pretending. The whole reason I even started going to church is because there were pretty girls. Honesty, right? But I keep going because there's a pretty girl. No, I keep going because I have a relationship. And whatever it takes for you, tell yourself, whatever it takes, I gotta have that relationship with the Lord. So with that, Crystal, if you'd come, we'll do one more song, and then it's a little different scenario here. We don't really have an altar area, so you maybe if you want to pray with someone, that's good. But I'm going to do a dismissal prayer after we sing, and then it's up to you. But you want to go from there. The coffee is still in the room, so you can always have coffee too. Do you have the song that I was talking about? Okay. So before she starts to pray, I was just going to say one other thing that I forgot to say, which was, how much sacrifice is it for you in your relationship with the Lord? Is it a convenient thing to come to church? Is there some sacrifice in it? Jesus paid it all when he died on the cross. The ultimate price for us. You could look at it and say, well, today I got to listen to Reggie. And I would say, well, how much did you pay to be here? Nothing? So you get what you pay for. No. But in Jesus's case, he paid it all. Right? So in that particular case, how much are you willing to give? If someone you knew came up to you and said, I will give you all that I have, Keith. Everything. You take it all. Would you just say, yeah, thanks, and walk away? Or would you say, wow, I think I want to spend some more time with this person. They're serious. Jesus is asking us that same thing. He gave it all. At least we should give him a little bit of time and try to figure out who this Jesus really is.